This is The Big Story presented by herbchambers.com.
My name is Maria Kramer. I'm a reporter at the Boston Globe. I have been covering the fallout of the shooting death of Officer John McGuire, who was killed Sunday night. What we've learned is that the Middlesex prosecutors who were involved in some of Dominic Cinelli's cases were not informed of the 2008 hearing. This is what they told us yesterday, and the parole board acknowledged that that was the case. We have had a week of people really reacting strongly to the news that the man who police say killed Officer McGuire, Dominic Cinelli, had been paroled in 2008, and this was after he had been sentenced to several concurrent life sentences. Well, when a person is sentenced in Massachusetts to life sentences, it doesn't negate their ever coming out of prison. Now, if you are sentenced to life in prison because of a first-degree murder conviction, you are not eligible for parole. But there are other cases where you can be sentenced to life and still be eligible for parole. In the case of Dominic Cinelli, he was technically sentenced to 15 years to life, which means that he was eligible for parole after a certain time period. It's definitely not uncommon, definitely not unheard of for people who are sentenced to life to be released on parole. In the case of Dominic Cinelli, he fit the criteria for the type of person who's normally released early. He was older, he was 55 or 56 at the time, and so many in law enforcement would think, okay, he's finished committing crimes, he's not going to reoffend. So one can understand why the parole board would have felt more secure releasing somebody like him. I heard about Officer McGuire's shooting on Sunday night shortly after it happened. What's interesting about how Dominic Cinelli's name came up is that at first it didn't come up at all. The prosecutor in the case who presided over the arraignment of the two other people arrested in connection with this case declined to give the name of the shooter, saying that this was something that was still under investigation and they were not ready to release his name yet. But we learned of his name actually through police reports that were filed in court and very clearly listed Dominic Cinelli. And of course we began looking up information about him in our library archives to see what turned up. And by 5:30 we knew he had a very lengthy record and that he had been paroled.